Hi, friends. It's Beth here with Aging Care Solutions, offering professional guidance and personal caregiving experience. And as I've started to build my channel, I've really started to reflect on everything, how everything affected me in that 15-year span of, really caring and really following up with my mother while she was still able to live on her own. And really just the ages and stages of different things. It's almost like when I was raising my twins, they were, you would go through the first few months where nobody's sleeping or they're so hungry that they've got like short spans of this. And then before you know it, they're sleeping through the night. And then all of a sudden they're crawling and then walking. And and so these different stages that we go through present all kinds of different things. And I thought, what are the top 5 things that I learned and caring for my parent, and it was very transformative for me because it taught me a lot of different things that maybe I didn't know that I really needed. And the biggest one of these lessons was patience. You know, I am the most patient person that I know in every aspect of my life. And it has served me well only because the frustration that I used to feel when I didn't feel in control, I couldn't manage it anymore. So it became almost like it was a gift to me, learning the art of patience. Because I really just became impatient on appointments or driving, or it feeds into every aspect when you don't have it. And all it's going to do is continue to agitate and upset me and impact my health. And I just thought, no way. So I did learn quickly that things don't go as planned. Like I didn't realize how bad my mother was until I went back to upstate New York where I grew up when my grandmother fell and broke her hip. And she came out of the hospital. My mother was confused. Every time I talked to her, she couldn't give me an update. And I was like, I gotta go. My mother-in-law came down and she took care. At that time, I think the kids were like 15 months old. So I knew they were in good hands. And I said, I have to go up and see what's happening and see if I can't help plan things for my grandmother when she comes out of this anesthesia. Well, she was 97 years old. She broke her hip. She broke the ball in her hip, and she did not come out of the anesthesia. And over the course of 10 days, I planned her funeral, wrote her obituary, contacted family, moved her out of her assisted living, and really got a chance to see how my mother was behaving. And she just, yeah, she needed me. She needed my help. But patience came to me like many times while I was like, oh God, please help me. Oh God, please help me. So I don't know if you want to call that prayer time or pleading and whatever you want to call it. Now, my life has changed so much since 2010 and even 2006 when the kids came, because I have learned different practices, walking and breathing and prayerful meditations, things that I wish I had known then, because it would have been a daily practice. It would have been something that would have been like my greatest ally in helping me to remain and stay calm, especially in stressful situations and emotional moments, which was happening all the time. You know, I really wanted to enjoy my toddlers, my infants, and my babies. So many things were happening, and I wanted that gift of them, especially at a later age, to be all about them and all about me, experiencing new motherhood and whatnot. But in the meantime, everything else started to happen. And I haven't even gone into most of it because I'm not going to right now. I don't feel ready to talk about what really started to happen. But also, I had to understand that my mom was changing, right? And even though she was still highly functioning, she was able to talk on the phone and drive and get herself to appointments and go and see her friends. She was declining in health and her independence, and it was starting to get very noticeable, right? But I knew she was going to be changing. I had no idea because I had never cared for any of my parents. They were always caring for us as their children. So to see somebody who was just in her 70s starting to struggle, it just deepened something in me. And as a mother and like a mama bear, I was like, oh, I gotta, she needs me to look after her. She needs me to take care of her. And she was very vulnerable. I've mentioned in other videos, my mother was very generous. Not only when she was alive and of sound mind, she was, really did so many things for her kids and for us as a family. But she loved to donate. I even found out I had a sister that she adopted in Mexico. She was putting through school through some Catholic organization. Regardless, it just what it did for me. Another gift that it did for me was it really made me deepen my empathy and understanding and grow deeper in my affection for her. I had a closer relationship with my dad when he was living, but my mom, I grew to look at her almost as my third child as things progressed. And over the years, undoubtedly that started to happen because she was slowly forgetting, who she was, who I was, and just everything about life and who she was and all of the experiences she had. She was living in the moment, which is something that we did a lot together. We just, we had moments that I will carry as like super meaningful, to me. Even little things like just holding her hand and walking and bringing her like little goodies and sitting outside and maybe having a little picnic on the campus that she lived at, and or just participating and listening to live music and just different things. Like I just felt like I wanted to see her so that I could make sure she looked okay. And then I would give her a hug, and she was always happy. Oh, it's you. She was so happy to see me. Sometimes she'd call me mommy. But they carried it carried big meaning for me. And I knew I was the right person for the job, not only because I was in that industry and I was referring families and preparing families for what to expect when they started to realize that their loved one had dementia or had memory impairment, because it was really just the beginning. Those early years were just the beginning, and I knew things were never going to be the same. I knew that about other events in my life as well, but the other is another thing that I looked at that was important were boundaries, and I wanted to look at these as something that was not selfish, but something that was really essential for me, because I needed to make sure that I had balance in my life. Not only did I at the time have a husband and children, but I tried to have friendships. I tried to take care of my physical and mental health. But it was really hard because I felt this guilt, like, oh my God, I got to go check on her. Oh, I haven't been there in 3 days. Well, I finally, over time, I really started to convince myself that if I wasn't healthy, I was going to be no good to anybody, right? And I really looked at it like a self-preservation that I set up these boundaries. Now, my mother wouldn't have even known if I was going or not. It was me who was setting up this urgency that and the thing is, she was in a beautiful community. I mean, we took our time finding and putting her on the right wait list, and I knew all the staff and I knew who everybody was, and I had no problem talking to people, calling them, asking questions, talking with them face to face, like addressing any concerns on her behalf and being her advocate, her voice. But I also needed to build those boundaries. And if I wanted to do things with my children and my husband on the weekends, I had to be able to build those boundaries and not worry that I was putting myself in like a burnout phase because I just felt like, oh, I need to do more. I'm not doing enough. And that was a hard lesson. I mean, I'm again, giving you full permission to, by the way, I make the best iced coffee. So delicious. I was always a hot coffee drinker, but now my daughter's gotten me hooked on. We make it ourselves most of the time. Every now and then we'll go to Starbucks for a treat, but yay. Anyway, the other thing that I finally learned, the fifth thing, and I'll go through all these just off the top of my head, but is that you cannot control everything, and it's okay. If you're like me, if you're like one of these organized people, maybe you had a really high-powered job or you were, and I always did. I was always like somebody who was super organized. I knew what I needed to do. I had my goals. But when it comes to somebody who has medical issues and they're declining year after year, you know, I did everything I could. I did. And when I say I was researching, I was volunteering at the Alzheimer's Association. I was reading, I was focusing on how different ways of eating could potentially help. I don't know. I saw all these different things and I thought, I haven't failed her in any way. I really just couldn't control the progression of this illness. So medical issues, emotional reactions, and even my parents' choices will be out of your control at one time or another. I see adult children struggling with their parents still driving, knowing that they've got macular degeneration or they can't turn their head because they had spinal surgery, but accepting this, it taught me that I can focus on what I can do and what I can't do and not feel guilty for anything that I can't change, right? I couldn't, my mother wanted to stay until her mother died. So that was my window after my grandmother passed. Otherwise, I couldn't move her. She was like, I'm not moving. My mother needs me here. And in her mind, even though she was paying her rent 2 or 3 times a month and doing her laundry over and over again, she wasn't going to leave until she knew that her mother was had safely passed on. She wasn't going to leave while her mother still lived there. So anyway, those are the areas that came to mind for me, as like patience, knowing that my parent is going to change, and so was I over time, relishing and really enjoying the small moments that bring big meaning to you while you are caring for your loved one, not being afraid or feeling guilty in any way about setting boundaries so that you can avoid burnout, so that you can care for yourself while still being a great caregiver and providing support. And then realize that you cannot control everything, and it's okay. It is okay. And you're doing a great job. And if you're by yourself, a lot of times, like, people are living in this this caregiver phase for years and years and years and years, and it feels like it's never going to end. And it's almost like raising a small child. Like, you think, oh, by the time they're 18, no, it just lasts. I'm sure that it's going to last, because I know I moved home at 26. Surprise! After college, I'm broke. Can I stay here? But being a caregiver, it takes special courage and a lot of self-talk and self-encouragement. And, like, if you have any questions, or I almost feel like I want to start a caregiver support group through this channel somehow, because I think everybody could use that words of encouragement and just that huge hug to know you're doing the very best that you can. So don't think otherwise. Talk out loud to yourself. If you're driving and you're going to see them, it's okay, I got this. And the other thing that I used to do when I would go, if there was other people there, like other family members, I connected with them and I would say, hey, can I give you my number? Can I give you my number? And then in the event that I'm not able to, if you see my mom and you see that she's having a good day, will you text me? And I'm going to do the same for your mom. And I got phone numbers like for 3 or 4 other families. And I would even tell them, I saw your mom, I gave her a hug. She was happy today. Or I would say, oh, I was doing my mom's nails and a line started and your mom was next in line. And so I would bring my little nail kit and do everybody's 2 or 3 people's. I'm like, that's it, ladies. I have to go to my next appointment. They had no idea that I was there visiting my mother. Anyway, just some of these memories and moments keep coming back to me, and they will for you too over the years. But just know you are doing the very best that you can, and that you are loved. You are deeply loved by your parent, even though they can't tell you that. And if they're angry and they're mean because they're in pain or they are dying, I mean, it's, what I say to my friends, especially those of us that are starting to realize, traumas that we've been through as children and how we have grown and accepted things, and just knowing that it's not you. It isn't you. If you are worried that your parent is, angry and lashing out in these later years when they're not well because of something that you're doing, no, don't internalize that. You're doing the very best that you can. And I'm wishing you all the best, and I will see you at the next video. Take care.